Okay, so we are going to, no, that's not it, where is it? We're going to generate, make a small state machine DSL. So I'm going to make a DSL. This is going to be sort of like what I'm asking you to do in 2 weeks. So I'm going to start somewhere simple. I just want to be able to pass this, okay? Something like this, and I'm even not going to allow dots in the names. So this, it has to say machine, some name which is an identifier, and then states with transitions. Okay? And what I want to generate is then code that works with the year 2 version of my Java framework. So I want to generate something like this code here. So private state, whatever the different states are, and then code to initialize them. So that's what I want to, I want to make xtext do this. So let's make a new other xtext project. So this is going to be...
So actually out of external DSL, you are generating internal DSL code?
Not in this case. Actually pick year 2 because that's framework code. Year 2 is still a framework. Let me just finish this dialog, then I'll show you why it's not an internal DSL. I could also generate an internal DSL from it. State machine and state machine, and this is SM1. Finish. Let's just look again. This is the code that I want to generate. This is not an internal DSL. This is the precursor to the internal DSL. So this creates the state object and calls .add transition on the state objects. Whereas the internal DSL is like this.
Yeah, but here you're just using Fluent API.
Yes, so this is an internal DSL, right? That uses this framework. This is not an internal DSL. When is it an internal DSL? That's a long topic that we don't want to record now. But it must be a language. This is not a language. It's just an API. It has to have a language nature.
No.
And this one is not doesn't have a language nature. So, state machine. We want to be able to pass this. So let's just paste it here, such that we have it. This is going to be a state machine. A state machine has the keyword machine, as you can see below, and then a name, which is an ID, and then it has a bunch of states. So states plus equals state star, like this. And state hasn't been defined yet. So this was that was the equivalent of this line. Like I said, it doesn't allow dots in it, and we can look at that next time, but that's not a big issue right now. A state. So a state has the keyword state and a name, which is an ID, and then it has a number of transitions. And I'm allowing it to have 0 transitions. That's okay. You can have a state that doesn't have transitions. That's okay. I think it's being a bit confused by what we have below here. So let's just see. Transition. So transition has the name of a state and then the name of another state. So then we have from equals the name of a state, then the keyword to, and then to, which is the name of a state. And that's it. Okay, so this is my grammar for the minimal example that we have here. At least I think it is. So let's try it. Where is my state machine? That's up here. State machine xtext, runners generate xtext artifacts. There are different ways to get it to do this. And we look carefully in the console. Yes. And now we look carefully here. Are there any weird errors from the parser generator? No. If there are, then you have to fix those before you proceed. Otherwise, you will get errors when you launch the Eclipse. So, then we can run as Eclipse application. So now we launch an Eclipse that should support our new language. Do you remember what was the name of the extension? Yes, good. You can actually also find it inside. It actually is. You can actually. It's here, in case you forget it. So we now have our generated Eclipse here. So smtests. And we just make a Java project. That also makes sense since we are generating Java code, new file, which is going to be microwave.sm1. Actually, I'm just going to have it like this, microwave.sm1. Yes, please. Okay. And now, of course, I'm just going to go here. Sure. Copy this, paste it here. Now we don't allow the dot here, so let's get rid of this. Interesting. So we have here some states that weren't defined. How can that be? Oh! What I did was completely wrong. So what is the problem? And no one stopped me. And this is the thing when you're typing away. These are not states. What are these?
Events.
Events, yes. Okay. So now we have to decide if we want them to just have arbitrary names or if we want to declare them. Now, like I did for the other things, I like to actually have them declared. So we want something like maybe event start, timer, stop, open, and close. That's what we like, okay? Now, of course, it doesn't support this yet. So let's go back. From, that's actually not a from. So that's an event, should be the name of an event, like this. To, and then let's make it target like this. Okay. Now, a machine should then have a name and then a state, but before that we should list the events. So then I want the keyword event, and let's make this optional. No, I mean, realistically, we are going to need events, otherwise the state machine can't do anything. So there has to be at least one event. So event, and then let's say events plus equal an ID. And then I have this pattern that I can also put a comma and then events plus equals ID. Okay, so now but now I don't have I can't say it as an event down here. if I want to do that, then I must have a rule for each of them to be able to refer to them. So let's just backtrack here for a moment to so let's do this like this, okay? Event. An event is something that has the keyword event and an ID, like this. Now this is not actually the syntax that I used when I played with it. Here I wrote event, comma, name, comma, name, comma, name. Here I have to write the keyword event and then the name. Again, I'm just making my life simple here. I can make a more fancy syntax later on. This is the fastest way to make an easy syntax, so I go with that. Run as generate xtext artifacts. We look carefully. No evil errors. Run as Eclipse application. So now, of course, here I have the problem that I now have to put each of those on a line by itself. We could easily fix this to have something more like what we had before, but that needs a little bit more work. So now my state machine program is legal, according pretty close to the syntax that I had to begin with. I'm insisting on the transition names being declared, which wasn't the case in the internal DSL, on the external DSL that I implemented manually. But here I actually want them to be event objects. So in a way, I'm actually extending the meta model a bit to include event as something that's in there as well, which I don't think was there actually in the meta model that we used early on. Okay, so now we need to look at how to generate the code. And of course, we have the generator in here. And so we want to generate a file, and so we want the value. We want to get the what's it called, the state machine object. Machine equals resource.allContents.filter type of state machine. So let's just write it this, because I'm going to write the generator such that it supports having multiple state machines. All contents state machine, we import that, but for each it generate machine. There we go. Okay. Now generate machine is something that, given a state machine, meta model instance object, and the way to access the file, then that's going to do, let's just call this FSA. So FSA dot generate file machine dot, it has a name, plus dot java, comma, machine dot generate. Generate is now where I start writing my template. What do I want in my template? Well, I want something that's sort of like the code I showed you before. So let's start with the code. So this is the wrong one. Let me just go looking for it. This is the code I want. So I'm just going to copy this. Directly into the generator, like this. So this is a start for what I want my generator to be. This is, of course, a stupid generator because it will always generate the same code for the microwave, even if I do a different state machine. And so we don't need all of this big comment, although we might want to put a comment like generated code, do not edit. It always feels good to put that. Now package, I'm not currently putting this inside a package. So maybe I ought to. Should we put it inside a package? We could put like state machines like this. And then the package should be state machines like this. The imports are probably useful because I'm going to need the same kinds of imports. The name here, that's going to be machine.name, like this. States, now for each of the states that we need, we want to declare that there's a private state, whatever. So I'm going to say for s in machine.states, I think it was called. Yes. Info. And I'm just going to put a state on a line by itself, because that's easier. I don't have to put them all on one big line. So private state s.name, the name of the state. So now I declare all of my states. Down here in the definition, I want to do something like this line, so I want to create a state object for it. So I actually do the same thing again, for s in machine.states, info. I want something like the line just below here. So state underscore s.name equals new state, this comma, well, just the name of the state, s.name. Okay, so that will generate this line here. And then I want to do an add transition for each of the transitions. We have an ST for loop, of course, for t in s.transitions, I think it's called. No? Yes, it is. So those are the transitions of each of the states. You can find those if you go look in the meta model. We could go look quickly. The state has transitions. That's just the thing we're accessing here. So for each of the transitions, we want a line like this. I'm just going to put it up here. So this is going to be state underscore s.name, add transition. Oops, it's warning me about the indentation here. Like, okay. That add transition. This is the name of the event that triggers it, and it should be in quotes. So that's going to be t.event.name. Otherwise, I get the big weird thing. New transition. This is the target, name of the target state. So that's t.target.name. Okay. And now this is get all states here. I want the list of all states. And here I want to put them as a comma-separated list. This was convenient when I had my framework. I could just write a different piece of code that would do it on one line at a time. Like call new array list and then array list dot add them one at a time. But let me just show you how to do a comma-separated list like this, because that can be useful sometimes. So you want to say for s in machine dot states info, and then we want to insert the name of the state. So that's going to be state underscore and then s.name. And then I want to have a comma here, but only, I don't want a comma at the end. I only want commas between the elements. So how do I do that? Do I need to check how far am I in the list or whatever? So xtext has a convenient thing here which is called separator. No? Maybe with single quotes. Okay, there we go. So run this for loop, and between each of the things that you insert, put a comma in there. Okay. I'm just going to quit this one such that I can relaunch and test my code generator. Run as Eclipse application. And of course I need to just modify it once. Let's see, we got something generated, that's a good start. Okay. This looks pretty close to what we wanted. So let's try to see what the Java compiler thinks about it. So we build path, use a source folder. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of things here. So the thing about putting it inside a subdirectory didn't work. Kind of surprised by that. And then of course it doesn't know this one here either. So it can't import anything. And here we actually this Eclipse doesn't have the project that I'm using as a base, the year 2 stuff. So I'm just going to add that. Hopefully. Yeah, so, and we're going to do that using import, projects from Git, existing local repository, add, browse. This just takes a second, sorry. Source, software customization, open, finish, next, existing projects, and finish. Okay, and now I'm going to path, projects. Please add, this one is, I'm still fighting to make it not be called SSCO2 anymore. Okay, so that helped. Now, of course, it still complains about state machines. Here it says state underscore inactive, and here it just says inactive, so it should be state underscore up here. So let's go back to our generator to fix that. So that will fix this one. That will also fix that one. It's complaining about, oh! This has the wrong name. Right? It has the, instead of having the name of the class, it has the hard-coded thing. Okay. I'm sort of confused by the generate file that it doesn't do what I'm expecting it to. File name using slash as file separator. So this should be okay, right? Does anyone see the problem?
Isn't the oh no, that's for Windows, like the.
Yeah, and here you actually have your backslash, but it actually says you have to use slash here. I think even if it was Windows, you would have to use slash. I'm just going to try it again and see if it works better next time. Run as Eclipse application. Oh, I think I know the problem actually. I added the wrong directory to, I added the state machines to, it is putting it inside state machines, but I added the state machines to the build path. I should add source gen to the build path. So it was my mistake. Ooh, this looks good. Okay, legal Java code. Almost. Let me just check this again. Okay, generate. Okay, no, that was just something. Okay, mission complete. So what did we do? Starting with the example of what I want the syntax to be, and having in mind what is my meta model, I wrote down the BNF. I knew I needed state machines, states, and transitions. And then basically I put those in there such that they would match my syntax. Where did my syntax come from? Well, the syntax came from thinking about what should the meta model be. So you need to get those somehow to fit together. It doesn't have to be the perfect meta model to begin with. Just any meta model that says something interesting about what you want to do is a good starting point. Once that is in place, you need the, and works, you can try it out. As you saw in the, it's also a good idea to try out your parser before you start making a generator. I made a stupid mistake in mine. I did from state to state. It's like event takes you there. Maybe I should consider changing my syntax. The extend, that's this basic stuff here, which we pretty much do every time. And then I copy-pasted the source code of what I wanted into the generator function and started writing. I didn't use any helper methods because this was really simple. It's just some nested for loops. If it was more complicated, I could have had a method for generate setter or whatever. This might have made the, and maybe I should, if I wanted this generator to be nicer, I should refactor it and take part of it, of what's inside here. And so, for example, this could be a method here. Could make a method for this, just like you would refactor any program where you have a large nested loop and you want to take part of it and make the body be a method to make it easier to navigate the code. Same thing in a generator. Any questions? Good. I will upload the video and, of course, the source for this as well, for you to use as a starting point. And I'm not looking for my, I think I couldn't find the last time either.